Okay, so we continue with the last piece of our program, the last lecture of this convention, and then we have a conclusion from our President Atiyah. So I would like to welcome a professor from the University of Salamanca, and he's going to talk about the ways for the revival of the Assyrian language. So please welcome Mr. Professor Efrem Yildiz.
Shalom aleichem, مقام شارخ الوالد لماذا كذنوا مخزنوا ميدنوا قبل طيبوت دي برشتا تا محضراني دا خيتا ادي كفشتا ادي مهدي برخني Assyrian Convention of Europe ببريشوتا قبل طيبوت دي تم منطلنا الادي بالخون دي مشوريا بدور خطوتا ادي بايشتوسا الكفشتا ويوتا ودخويانا. So, as we have huge problems with the linguistic issues, I will try to make a summary of the topic. And with your permission, as we have so many people from France who do not manage the English language, I will try to make probably even 4 or 5 minutes the resume of what the content of my speech is. Everybody does hear me? Why did I choose this topic? It's an important issue because it's a huge problem for our community, our people. We are now facing a period of those aspects that are in certain way in danger of disappearing. So why not insisting on those elements that can help us take or become much more conscious of the necessity of the unification of both main languages or even dialects. Now I have prepared you I'll start with a historical background. Without our historical background, it's going to be difficult to explain the process of the whole issue. The link to the ancient Assyrian language. Each time I try to explain this part of history of our language, it comes to my mind just a point. We are still in the past tense. Our link to our ancient language is so strong that it doesn't really allow us to take the next path and start working on what is the common medium among us. So this is one of the inconveniences, in my opinion. Probably I'm wrong, but in my opinion that does not help us to join, to get together in a stronger way. So it's wonderful to be proud of what we were, but it's were. We should think of what we are and what we are going to be. So we have a huge history, we have a huge patrimony, we have a huge gezda, treasure, but we can't live only with that. That's why it led to a certain, I just defined it as a general terminological confusion. Our trees is so big, it's a ground where everybody can give his or her own opinion about, and now meaning the confusions are due to at least 2,000 years of history, 4,500 years. Since we were converted to Christianity, 2 elements became the main part of our identity issues and so on. And then this whole patrimony led us to talk about Aramaic, Syriac, Assyrian Aramaic, which we should now start calling it Assyrian in a certain way. Why not? As the rest of the world. The Kurds call their language Kurdish, even Sorani, Kurmanji and so on. The Arabs, they call it Arabs. They are from different countries. The German, they call it German. Why we not? So it's the first step. Next element is just an introduction. Assyrian identification process and the language issue. It's almost impossible to achieve a certain goal because we are so divided. As I don't belong to any political party, to any social club, I will tell using the heart, okay? Because I feel it. So just allow me to be not political correct. No, I'm not going to use the political correctness in this sense. Of course, having so many religious branches, every of them, they have become a kind of power. We have to be honest. And when we put the power, personal interests, and so on as first step, all the other elements try to be secondary, or they are the third, fourth place. This is one of our most, how would I say, problem or difficulty that could be solved if we start working on saying, well, what is the preach of the gospel is wonderful, that should be taken place in the church, and the issue of the language, the issue of your history, the issue of your patrimony should be also dealt by professionals. Why not? We have so wonderful prepared people among us. Last year, when we were in Göteborg, I felt proud because I hear the word Ganan Qaganan, no? But this Ganan Qaganan has its slight, how could I say, paths that do not allow to be ready or to achieve the goal we are looking for, Ganan Qaganan. Everybody looks, I depend on this, I depend on that, I depend on him, I depend on that part or this part. So these are the religious branches they should be the point of the union, but if you read your history, if you go deep to your history from the 5th century onward, the separation process until now is just a lie. So don't pretend or waste your energy on those aspects that you are not going to be successful. We have to learn to be successful in our paths, small paths, but practical one. Why we do not have any chance to unify the Church of the East, the Church of Syriac Orthodox Church, the Syriac Catholic Church, the Chaldean Church? Because it's a historic separation, whether we want or not. No chance. Where can we become a people? Common people. What do I mean by being common people? Common people is the group here, part of it, who do not belong to any kind of, influence, specific influences. Because if we Assyrians, we come together, we are strong, more than we believe and we imagine. But the branches that separate us in sections, no, you are my property, I'm not the property of anybody. I'm not the property of the Church of the East, nor of the Syriac Orthodox Church, nor of the Chaldean Church. I am, in certain way, what I wish to start doing. We are Assyrians who belongs to the Syriac Orthodox Church, or to that, or to that one. This, I know, this elements, everybody knows them. But what are you telling about? But we have to insist on them, because I'm thinking on the incoming generation, not you. So, common people should put their efforts together. We are not allowed to waste any energy with those discussions that do not lead us to a union. And union, I mean, from an ethnic, a social, a cultural, a linguistic, a historical point of view. We are used to talk too much, honestly. We want to do this, we want to do that. But what did we achieve in reality? Now we have started a slight path forward. But let's start with those elements that unify. Otherwise, you are wasting your time, I'm wasting my time and energy trying to explain what are those elements that can put us together. So, to that, the common people, we have also national movements. National movements, Atiyah could tell much more about them. They are parts, but they are not all. We, the people who are living now in diaspora especially, we have the chance to make a huge work, putting those efforts, focusing those efforts on what is feasible. We are not realistic. We want to regain the Assyrian nation of the Assyrian Empire. No. Why should we not work on those elements that are in danger of disappearing? That's why I insist in a very intensive way on those elements like language, literature, and history. This is the field I manage, and this is the field I'm going to work on. The survival of the Assyrian language. I know many people will say, oh, but the elements are since many years on the way, but what did we have really achieve? That's why I separate them into two parts, homeland and diaspora. Please do not misunderstand me when I come to this part. I'm not so worried about, because I don't manage it so well, about what in homeland now is going to do, because we have so many problems now. Now we have to try to look how many people are out now, because the ISIS process is still there. So I would insist on the cultural movements, schools, and was my dream, which is also your dream, University of Deshted Nilay. This is not only a dream, but also a feasible project, because you can't, I mentioned it last year too, you can't oblige your kids learning until the end of the secondary school and then say, and now what? I have learned my mother tongue, I have learned a bit, and how can I live with it? We lose so many people, valuable people, because we haven't still achieved the last goal. And Deshted Nilay is the best place where this dream could be realized. And it was on the way, but each time, I don't know why we are condemned. Each time we want to do, we say, now we have had at about 30 years, 50 years, of quietness, and then, and again, like the last one, by the ISIS persecution and so on. Hopefully God will try to change that part. But what makes me especially, my special concern is in diaspora. Homeland, we have the chance also to distinguish us between, according to our religious adherence. I'm Christian, you are Muslim, so the distinction is quite clear. But now here, in Western world, we live in peace, we live in freedom, but no of the Assyrian groups. That's why I just announced you that I'm going to avoid to be politically correct. Probably I'm wrong, but I do not see some paths that should be started from the beginning. Our kids in France, for example. How many of you, combien de vous, vous parlez le sourd dans la famille? No, après. This question should be often. How many people do use in a daily life their mother tongue? We are losing, the connection. Our kids now, they think much more in French, in English, in German, in Italian, and so on, than in their own mother tongue. This is the first step of the danger of disappearing. Because we are absurd. The Western cultures, they have been generous, but also they have insisted on the fact integration is wonderful, but not the assimilation process. We haven't created those fields in order to avoid that integration is okay, because you have to live with the neighbors, but assimilation process is one of the dangers. And I have enough examples, in Belgium, in France, in Germany, in every country where we have a community. Why I'm concerned about it? Because it was last year. I asked my nephew. I'm giving examples to you, but I start by myself. What do you feel? Do you feel much more French or Assyrian? And then he gave me a very nice, he's brilliant, and he knows what he's saying, a very nice description by himself that gave me a period that I 2 nights I couldn't sleep thinking about what have I by myself done that my nephew thinks in this way. Because we are used to look for big projects, but we don't have a dialogue inside what we have in front of us. So, becoming conscious of the fact of the danger is inside, it's not outside. This is one of the elements that we should take into account. Cultural movements, as I say, besides, and this is not a critic, because I have been dancing too. Besides dancing and singing, promotion of historical and linguistic movements within the Assyrian community. It's wonderful to dance. Why not? You're enjoying. But is that enough? No. I know, I'm not telling you anything new. But as I see dancing, especially those 4 or 5 people who are the first line, they dance in a very energetic way. I love observing it. Could we use just a 15-20% of that energy, applying it to the cultural linguistic movement? That would be wonderful. We would achieve a step. And this is why I insist on the fact that we haven't been able, and I mean we have been able to focus on those aspects where our energy should be concentrated. Language, literature, and history are first elements, 3 elements that must be absolutely sponsored. I'm going to talk about it too. Financial support of those academic centers that promote the Assyrian language, history, and culture. Forget all other things. We have so many associations which I respect all of them. But if you don't insist on those centers that do not depend on a charity, I will give 10 euros and that's all, or 1,000 euros. I'm conscious of the fact that it's not enough time to make all the things which are urgently needed, but small paths we could take. Anybody has done a study of how many universities or high schools, in the sense of European sense, where our language is taught? I think nobody, nor I. Okay? That's the first step. Why I insist on it? Because today, We have to be clear and net. Without financial support, nothing will be done in a serious way. We have learned to be amateur, and I'm among those. Okay? I have here Dr. Mattei. Could you have been now a specialist if you wouldn't have studied until I don't know how many years? Why do we not, or Dr. Joseph, so many sacrifices, but they knew that they were in a center where if they pay their fees, they would go forward, they are professional. We still are amateur, and I'm the first one, okay? What could we do is invest, not the charity, invest. If the Assyrian Confederation of Europe or United States or Australia do not invest in a serious way on these issues, forget all our efforts. We will be dancing, we will be enjoying a while together, sharing our dreams, but then it remains just at that level. So please, let's be serious. Now, there is a dream which has become, in certain way, a reality. There were so many confederations. Now we have a confederation for Europe. It's first time. Let's use this chance. Let's invest in it. But they have the obligation, not only the moral obligation to support those projects. We have so many ways. We have to use the young generation to propose projects not of 50,000 euros, no, of millions. If we do not look at that level, forget all your efforts. Advice now, after the creation of the common law of the European Union, which I managed quite well, it has been started at about 15 years ago. Now it's a reality. We have a system transfer credit system here, or European transfer credit system in whole Europe. We should use this golden occasion to implement in those centers where there is a tradition, where there is a practice of our language, history, and literature. Investing, creating an institute, it doesn't, in an official university, state university, it doesn't suppose a huge investment because the infrastructure is there, the building is done, the staff is there, it needs only a bit of support. Sweden, Germany, Belgium, and so on, was 50,000, probably between 50 and 100,000 per year, where you can apply for financial support even through the European Union. Now, after the creation of the Confederation, you could do miracles. Use the occasion, and use us who knows a bit how to go forward in that sense. Of course, funding research projects of modern Assyrian issues. We have that. Why I started the beginning was the link to the ancient proud, ancient glory, but we still remain there. When I was in the United States, there was a guy who was absolutely happy about the project of University of Chicago, which produced a huge. Now they are about 23. Robert, they are about 23 volumes about the Assyrian ancient language. Can you imagine how many dollars, thousands of dollars have been invested there? And why do you not invest, not hundreds of thousands, but probably 150,000 euros working on producing those texts, those projects that can help us opening our eyes, working on the modern side. Short-term Assyrian duties. I have been working, and I shared the first point of these duties with a good friend of mine who is among us. Just some lines. If you want to become seriously a people, a nation, you need some minimum elements. How can you ensure your language if you don't have a specialized group? I mean, in a professional way, of ensuring that both main dialects or languages, Madanhaya or Ma'arboy, Surat or Oroya, how can you put them together if there is not even a single group until now working together? It's urgently needed an official Assyrian Academic Council. The idea has been started a long time ago, but it hasn't been realized. We don't have a group. Now, I made a short study about how many people do we have in different universities of the world. Europe, United States, Australia, and South America. We have well-prepared peoples, but I will never ask them to get engaged in a project which depends on the charity of yesterday, not of today. So, you want to invest. The first step is creating an Assyrian Academic Council on language, history, and literature. And then, gradually enlarging the activities that can be included in that part. Every nation has its academic council. Belgium, Germany, Spain, and they invest millions in that because they are protecting their patrimony, they are protecting their language, they are developing their language. So, Assyrian academic language is absolutely an imperative as first step. Other short-term duties are didactic materials and means, grammars, dictionaries, booklets, virtual center for the Assyrian course, online language courses, and then digitized historical books, novels, and different ages. We don't have a group who has prepared a whole in this part. We have started a long time ago at the university. Indeed, the main reason why I started publishing the grammar of Madanhaya was this. Because our kids, our young generation, they urgently need those means that can help them learning their own language. I have been also looking to different, I asked for all the stuff that has been used in Iraq in the last time. But the books, and this is not just offending anybody, please, I don't like to be misunderstood. It's a huge effort, but certain books, especially in both dialects, 2 volumes, that can start working, putting them together. Why not a grammar that has the Madanhaya and Ma'arboy? And see where we can use. Last year I suggested to use, for example, as script, the Strangelo, the first step where we can have a talk together. Grammars, dictionaries, booklets, especially booklets. Forget to be so theoretic. Our kids, they need images. I can't tell to my kids all the words without short stories where they can have a positive image of their own patrimony. We haven't worked on it. Images, symbols that can help them avoiding this process of assimilation, which is absolutely on the way. So these projects, we have started them, part of them that we have started now. We have dictionaries online. Surat and also the Surah, they are actually whoever wants to just know what a word means in English or in French, they have the chance now to ask for, to look for. But at the same time, our grammars are not, from a didactic point of view, practical. A language needs different levels, as I mentioned last year. And we haven't been working in a serious way on it. I'm going to end after doing this short. How many minutes do I have? 5 minutes. Especially now, I'm going to tell it probably a bit in Surat or in French, whatever you want. Can I go down, please? Yeah, because I see it, because I was used to have my computer, but then we have had some problems with the connections. Ashur takmilta usharirta. Just please close your eyes and hear. عاشر شعررتا عاشر محبة لبي مليتا إديو باسمك روخ للكل بريتا قم ليالخ لبناية بيتخ بحكي موتا وهون جميرة أرخي بهرنتا بالخانة كالشيروتا حب رخيخة أخنورة زريسة اتقيمي وطاني شم خرحين عاشر تخليتا عاشر شم خسيمة من شنو دار قيمة كل دانت هاور حيمة جزد لبي نطيرة برا أمتي كخازت للشاند أمتخ كميلة بسيمة برت أمتي راشد بكميلة تشعي تخروختا بني أمتي لوبن للشانوخن يقرن أمتوخن أدخشم وخاطرة وخل الشانة وخدائي توتا. This is what we have to transmit, love. If we want to be successful, is transmit love of our nation, of our people. We are probably among the best people who are able to love, but also we have learned to hate. And when hate is between us, the deed is still there. With this, I'm closing my speech. ما كيبوتم سورة يام فرنسا بيديوت من فرنسا. أوكي بس ما قالوا. أخذ غسيل وخن تخمنيات كيبن مخزن طلوخن. إن ديوتم ببريشوتا ديوتم فرنسا بلجيكا دي محكوتم للشانة فرنسايا. إتلن خم كان سنوات رابع أد كيبا مواجبي لأن مقيته إلى أد بزونا كرياتي أوري بشغلابه. ما شغلات ايبن اودخ اخيت اديال ديان اديوتن قيمة فرنسا يعني بدك تخيتا اد لنا شوتن شموخن جزة ديوخن مردوتا ديوخن تشعيتا ديوخن بفريشوتا للشانة ديوخن اخنا بجانا او اتلان خلطة بجانا من سبب اتلان تخمنيات رابي اد ما كيبخ اودخ اد 10 هم خينا بيشي ومتربطة لا كيبقى مش عارف قد ما ميل انقاية مش ميل انقاية يعني لازم انقاية قد صبرة أختن لنا شوت نشم لشان ديوخ الصبرة أختن يدود منين بابوات ديوخ من هذا السبب كنشي عطورايا اتلي بروجيكت رابع قد صبرة لو مخنا جودشاتا أن من ديانة ديوت نسنيق عليهن لا نبلي خود دبر من هذه السبب مقزيلي طليهن الديخ ما كبات أو ناشا ما يكبا ناشا مهدر طورس مملا مهدر كنش ملي يمرخون ديكشنري جرامير كبا ناشا مهدر كتاوي تشغيتاناي كبا ناشا مهدر كتاوي سوبراناي مدني تكست de la littérature texte de la grammaire, des dictionnaires, وكيف ناشا أن قيت هيلا آتي خم كمأني من إنسترومنت مأني المحضورة أديالا مزروتيهن قيم يرايم ورامي هم بلشانيهن هم مردوتيهن وهم تخمنت دمتيهن أخنا إديو ضمن خم طلوخن أو say in English أخنا إديم تخمينه دانت أمرن أنا أطورايون يبقى سينونيم سرايا مشي حاي دي خمنا خاني مدان دام تلالخ إيدخ بريخة ما ينجبوتم اللخ الكل سرايا مشي حاي بيتبخ لين تخمينه ما هي لما عندنا شعامر السرايا مشي حاي من هذا السبب اتلن رابع الشولة المشروية اد يال ديا ووضي رخاتا اد علي مديا لام تخميني اد بقمايا فرنسايلي وبيجي بايش آتوراي كالدايا سوريالي الماخين إنما ديانك كبا رجبيه ما كبا ما هي لنقايا اد شوتا بياتا اد كنشيه بني أمتا دين ويرجو خاي بوليتيقاي أودي اد أخنن هاي بمبلخ أخنن الليبي الوادم ديان طاوي بس كل دانا هو لأنن الإيد نخراي كبا فرنساي كبا يمسناي أودي شولن يشاك دورا بابا خيطة بجوتبر هو اللي خلي مراوة شبير يعمل جانا قجانا أخني ليه ليبي مجانا بلخ ولا ليبي أدخل ألمانيا يعني خم فرنسايا نخرايا أمر طارا ما كباودو اتلن موخا اتلن غزيتا واتلن هونا أدمرخيشو بس بجانا برام بجانا لا يغني ليبي اتبلاخا ما بين دغدادي والنبل خوني اد كبوت ببريشوتا ديوتم فرنسا كيبا هم اختم شوتي بوتن امد اخوات ديوخن دين بالسويد بالمانيا من سبب ان كون المتولا حيلا لغدادي بايشخا حيلا رابا ان ودلخ حيلا رابا ادن يبغض الشولا رابا النبساتا ديخو لغبيين هيدا قمايا للشانة سبرايوتا وتشقيتا ان نطلعتا شرش يمرخ ان متيلا تروسوتا وبتخمنتا يمقتا ايبن من ديان خير رابا ودخلي نتلوغن إذا بقريات if you have any questions I'm pleased to answer about the projects we are undertaking because it's also important to have a dialogue. What I have missed it's a bit of dialogue in especially about those aspects that should be probably discussed. Thank you very much. Secretary, you have another scene.
Thank you very much, Professor. If there is any questions, otherwise we can move on to the final part. We have a question over there.
No, I just want to make a statement that you're totally spot on with everything you said, especially with the language.
Totally spot on.
زمو باز زمادن خايا وزمارة وايا باتم باز إتلن خا ستاندرد زمادن خايا وخا زمارة وايا إن إتلن يورو زمادن خايا رابل إزبيشة ورابل من الليبا مخبر دادي بخشاوت باصل تقامت إلى جرب خاويلا خاچنوشيا أكمار أكاديمايا قد همزمك بازت standardized about نشان
درخا قمايت بالخونن كبها وآوا من سبب برشانا اخن ديوخ بريشة مع رواي ومدن حاي ليل ادلشان عيد قمايت كوني تخمنتن هامانوتن اوكي وقمايت الترتي تروسخين مزونة ولا بليخ اتلناش بليخ رابع ادا خيت التراوتلين بعد لشان ادا دلعزين بس كبا يدو خمندي اد إتن واللشانة مكملة بس ليل بنية أغدي الأنقايا ديال بانا خاتا إنما أنا instruments إنما أنا أد كبق مبليطه كبا ما قروي تراوت لين العزل الأقداد مسبكونا خعمل داون تايو كبا خليشان أبو خلابو إدي لا بيت صبر لا يو خمشيش لا بس ما هم شريلا إن بوبت اللشانة اللشانة دي يدخ لأن قرر اللشانة عرمايا من ألبا وما مقمشي حوادخا هليلي والبيرة در خنايت جو شغلا برابي ولد دان تيل بيشا للشانة ملكوتانايا خمش ميلو خنا خيل دخل اللشانة مقدم Imperial Assyrian Aramaic القاروت إني كتاوت الدانية اللي عند عزرا قيب عليهم تريد دانية اللي يامر بليا منه يامر ضاي دبروها كزديم لما يرخى رميد باقي قام ملكة العلمين حيي إمار حل ملعب دايق بشرنا حاوي أنا ملكة إمار لكزداي واني الدانية دي بس ادخى عزرا إكد يامر لعزرا خهنا سافر داتا ديش ديالاش ميا جمير وخا عينت واني ولشان نتيق إن بوبيتي دخم شخلب لي لعزة هم لعزة بشلة طوسة برشونة إن بوبيتي كتوبو نويو وقشمة يكد يمد قم لي وبنين لبقر نجانا تم أنا وبروفيسور جريف يعقوب مخكيه واش نمديان إيمم شريلي قطرة بروبليم أدلعزة ما يكبط لي لا ما بين عمه من سبب مباطل بش برشونة ما بين مرخيشان عيتاناي تيلخ الأودرخة البرشد جانخ مني هم بلعزة بس عم ليه وريشة بيدو برشون اتلن أورخا أداخيتا أدقروتا اتلن لشانا مقدمر ستاندرد وان بس اديو سنيقيلة انقيتيلا اد ناشا مور من ديان خات كاوي تقريبا بس كالختها لين جوب لي البقر طبعا لا اخيت ولا قرط اخيت
I suppose we're on the clock, so maybe we can take the questions afterwards. They can ask you in private. Only one more? Okay.
You talked about the diversity in the names, the Assyrian, Aramaic, Syriac, or anyway, and this caused problems between our people. But my question is, isn't it the duty of the researchers, for example, like you or others, working with the language, to show, to prove that this language is coming actually from Assyrian language or from Aramaic, or to say something about that? Because as far I know, it's only Jeffrey Kahn who's saying that our language is coming from the Assyrian language. Yeah, but I mean, I know the tradition of the researchers. I know how it works. The one is referring to the other, and the other is referring to the third, to the fourth, and you don't dare to, I mean, to change this tradition, to depart from this tradition. Could you start something about that? I mean, some research. The other question is at starting programs at the universities in Assyrian language or to teaching. I mean, it's not the duty of the organizations or federations to do that. It is, again, the universities or you scholars to start a project at the university and to talk to the university, to your bosses, to start these programs. Thank you.
Thank you for the very important and sensitive questions. Of course, as far as the first question is concerned, of course we have been working on it. The problem is, I have been publishing different works on the historical development of the language, combining it with different historical, cultural elements and so on. But the main problem we are facing is a point. We confuse the denominations according to the language. Not, for example, I'll give an example in order to clarify what I'm trying to say. Saying Aramaic, we use the Aramaic script. Okay, this is the script, which doesn't mean that we have been implementing the Aramaic language. Even the foreigners, like the Jews, have been sharing hundreds of years with us in our homeland. They called it by themselves, not Aramaic, but Ashurit. Okay? What we confuse, and now Geoffrey Khan among others, try to clarify is the development of a language was ethnical process. And those linguistic, ethnic, and religious processes has created so a big confusion that today it's impossible to explain to our people what each of those parts mean. I suggested a long time ago to have a gathering. Probably now the confederations are the best place where we can have discussions about different positions. Why not? An instructive discussion about those who support the ideas that our language is Aramaic and we are Arameans and so on. No, the problem is, that's why I insist on being professionals, not only in an amateur way. Your language, if you see, even from a vocabulary point of view, the biggest part of those words that you use come from the Assyrian ancient language. Kaufman had done a huge work of it. 1,500 words that you are using in the Aramaic language, they come from the Assyrian language.
Could you show that, could you write something about that, could you prove that, I mean, by your research, somebody at the university...
Yes. They are published. The problem is we don't read today. There are many works, the research are still there. But the problem is we don't read today. We use much more WhatsApp, Facebook, and so on, but not research works. This is the inconvenience we are facing today. Yes. Even I have, in 1999, I published about a work where we knew each other, Mate and I, about the historical development of the Aramaic language, of the classification of the Aramaic language. There even I tried to show its link to the Proto-Semitic language, not only to the Aramaic language itself. So they are very well done works, but today it's quite difficult to have the access to them because we are used to use much more light works. Of course, we have a huge list of works that have been published explaining what it means, Assyrian, Syriac, Assyrian. I have published in English, in our mother tongue, in Spanish, and so on, works. I don't know if anybody, probably Mate and some others have read the works. In Journal of Assyrian Academic Studies, yeah. In the last book I published was a grammar of modern Assyrian Aramaic. In the first pages I insist on these elements you have been mentioning. And now, as I have been talking too much, the second question was whether it depends on the researchers or not. Of course, it depends on the researchers, on the professor at university. But as we don't have a homeland by our own one where we can develop things, we depend on the confederations, we depend on those people who are generous and so on. The universities will never start by themselves creating a chair for the modern Assyrian language. No, you have to contribute to that. I give an example. In 2001, the Turkish government suggested to the University of Salamanca €1 million for the creating of the chair of the Turkish. $1 million. Just in order to create the Turkish language at the university. They are in Brazil. We have now an Institute of Spanish-Brazilian Studies. There are so many people who invest in their patrimony. We haven't learned yet about it. So we can do our duties. I can, if there are means, tomorrow, if you promise that every year we have at about 50,000 euros, you will have a chair of the Assyrian studies at the University of Salamanca. Who is the generous one? We are all generous, okay? We will do that. So, of course, the professors, the richers can do, but without your support, we will not go forward as it deserves. This is the main point. So, the invitation to you is creating a budget. Assyrian budget was an Assyrian account that is managed by all Assyrian confederations. Not only one. The Europe one should have one, the American one, where every Assyrian can contribute with 10 euros per month, which means 120 euros per year. And if you don't see the results of that investment, then you can tell me, Ephraim, what should I beg your pardon for the word? Have you been talking? If we have means and you haven't done anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. We have reached the final part of our convention, of our program, ladies and gentlemen, and it's up to our President Atiyah to bring us some concluding remarks. So please, Atiyah. And afterwards, you can ask her a few questions about the future or whatever you want regarding the Confederation. Please, we want them pretty short, no lectures from any of us, only questions.
Thank you very much, Nimrud. Are you all so proud on Nimrud? I am. Dear friends and family, few family, before I start to do some remarks, I would love to hear you, because our professor gave us already some feedback in his speech. We haven't heard you a lot, and during the breaks I spoke with some of the young ladies I'm so proud on, and I asked them, like, be open and ask questions, give us some advices, and give us some new inspiration from your own world. So I would love to ask a few questions to you and give us back whatever you want to give us back, because our board is here, they will listen to your words, and we really hope that we can take some of your advices, be part of our plan for the next year or the next 2 years we have. So one of my questions to you is, what would you give to the board? What should we do? One of them is, of course, a budget. We need a budget. Whatever we do in Europe, if you move from here to here, you need a few euros for that. And the first year I'm going to pay that from my own pocket, and Professor will do that, and Johan will do that, or Afram. But after a few years, we can't do that. So we need a national budget. I really love the word national budget, and with this national budget, we can make a plan. We can say we give 50,000 euro to the project in Salamanca, or we ask Claire to do some research, or we pay a lobbyist in Brussels to focus on the Assyrian region government in Assyria, or whatever. But it starts by believing and trusting a board, and of course really participate in this budget. So this is what I take from the lecture of the professor from Salamanca. So what are you giving to us? And I'm looking to the young people who are sitting here. Please. Can you stand up and say your name, and please come here, because we don't have 2 microphones.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay if I just take it. There is a very short.
Amr. Nohadra from Sweden. Hello?
Okay, we were talking about it, me, Jenny from Sweden too, and Kara, and Maria, and Caroline. I think this is very good, and it's a good start, and it's just a few people who actually arranged this. And I first of all want us all to say a big thank you to Nahir, who's standing there, and he thank you so much. And the second thing is, I like when we engage the audience more. I know this is the second time, and all your work and effort is amazing, but I think we should engage everyone who's sitting here too, more. I know we don't have a lot of time, and we are like stressed out and everything, but just I think we have a lot of ideas here that maybe we're speaking about it during the break and not so much here. But I would like to see it more here, as Jenny said, like workshops, as they have in the US, for example. Just engage the audience.
Thank you very much, Nohadra. من كتلة هيش رينية تمونش مو بسريو يستك بعنا شمعينا عرن يدخو لشان قدرينا يلفينا مينا يخوستي ولشان بيدينا رينية لتحرس يوثي تسامينا بوزا بنو تحتيث بش مدحو يودي دعا ميذن إنو هادرا إنو شبقونو غلبة إنو هادرا مرلا موك جروب تعلي موثي بي أفتو مشغولي بينا محدوذي وميرد مرلا ميكبعينا زتر ميدي أحاضيرت حضيري وكنشيو وكونفنشن مشتركي بمملت مشتركي بنو قوشت كهو هركدا وهانو رينيو غلبة أوصو لشان ميدينا للوزا بنو تحتيث ووعدو نو هادرا أنشند أوثيق مجربينا هويو إنو قصاثي حذو مريشوي تاودي هيش رينيه يعني دانيال يعني كثيو مسويت حذو مفالوحي بحيو دو أوثرو دوسويت ويشت مشترك لبوتركي و the Assyrian Confederation of Europe يعني فخوث.
Something I always think is really important to have in our always have in our thoughts is that Assyrian women are half of our capacity in our nation, and it's really sad to always in our events or borders and everything not see that women are 50% of the borders in our events and everything. So we should think about how can we engage women more, like have, how do you say, how do we catch up the women that we have lost on the way? We are some here, but we don't use the full capacity that we have, and that is sad.
يعني كمو بثر معاميذن كتيو فلقي نيشة وفلقي قبري كولوزم كل دكتو بحثي توفت سمينا احنا احيودي مجربينا او بينا دكتو لنيشة دو عاميذن وطبعا خبرخيو وميدانو نستيق متيقنونو إنقلاديثتو او ثوريتو مشتركو بوفلحونو ونم أكدتو انو وفلحونو قدرينا محلقينا للدوسي لفقدام توني لياني دانيال من هولندا كوخ
Malfono nogezien mede PowerPoint video. These are these things which you can make a platform for that. And I mean, we have a lot of designers here, we have doctors here, we have politicians here, lawyers, etc. If we create a platform for all of the federations, all the people who work together, you can pinpoint one lawyer or one designer to work on one project, and then work on the next one. Instead of working just in one country and maybe some guy doesn't have time, but the other one has time, I can visualize something like that, but I can program it. So we can visualize it and then maybe build something bigger, like Google has Asana, Mark Zuckerberg did with Facebook. I mean, if we have something like that for our own community, and where we can work and we can show what we can do, and maybe we benefit from that. I think maybe we can work together with that as well. I mean, I've seen his books. There are a lot of writers. We have a lot of writers, journalists. We have to combine our strengths to make something bigger. But we need a platform for that on the internet, in the cloud. I mean, if I can work something, but I need help from all the other people as well. So that's why he inspired me. I had a thing yesterday, and I saw it. I was like, okay, that's my idea as well. So it's kind of funny.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So Daniel is offering his knowledge. That's great. Thank you very much, Daniel. Medexeno, Renier. ودانيال محكي لكم وبروفيسور سمليلي انسباير خد كمي ترى مفتكرنا مدحاثو ويو في الحنايذ وانترنتيو كو ماركو بروجرامي كو ماركو ميدوني اونلاين كو مركبانو مع ونو خود ماركويتو بلاتفورم بو اونلاين لاشان دزتر مستفدينا مما ودعونوثو تكتلو عاميذا قاونويث Renier, Meneigo. Vroeg.
عبانا الواحد نيذن وبروفيسور بشوطو مشاعرنا وشيولانو بس يدوك بعنا مشاعرنا للكولا واللي شونو أوثرو دك مشغلين على دعوه دك ملينو بوه أي دربك حزيتو اللي تكثوين عليه بأثو ثلاثينويو متكوينا ويغلبه هي دوع الميذن بيقولوا ثو عسقو يقدرينا ما عشينا عليه بأثو ثو أورمو كميلي وشو الذي يعني يتولي.
The question is, what is your opinion about writing the Assyrian language in Latin alphabet? Pakat, please. No one know more about the language than you.
There are many of them. So, I'll reply in English directly. I respect those who write in Latin letters, but I don't share their idea. Each language has its character. Each language has its vowels, sounds that can't be replaced by other systems. Especially if you compare the Semitic alphabet with the Indo-European, not only Latin, Indo-European language. Where are the differences? Especially because they are letters that do not exist in an Indo-European language, like ayn. How can you produce the ayn without adding many signs to a? How can you add, say, head, no, without adding to h a dot behind? No, each language has its own writing system, which should be respected. Because otherwise, many slides, important elements would be lost if you do not use our own scripture. And our scripture is marvelous. So why should we use another one? So I'm against the changing or shifting to a system because we have a huge patrimony written in our language. We have our own Semitic manner of pronouncing. We have emphatic letters that can't be reproduced, like ayn, hay, tat, sa'd. This is the inconvenience I see if you shift to the Latin writing system. In my opinion, we have now today, when we were writing on writing machines, that was the reason why we shifted. But now we have systems on the computer where we can write from right to left without any problem. Why not? So I would prefer, I mean, I respect all the intentions, but I'm convinced that the best way to keep a language alive is using also the writing system and letters. Thank you.
لازم ترجمونه اسمه ماني يقرأ؟ تودي. need to hear more. Is there someone who wants to advise us or give us advice how to organize the next convention? Is there something you missed? James from America, please.
Coming from the States, I really like the way coming from the States, I really like the way this convention is organized, where everyone has to come to these seminars. The conventions in the States, the seminars, sometimes seminars are scheduled at the same time, so then you have to choose between which seminar you're going to go to, and they're not mandatory. And the thing is that everybody shows up for the dance parties at night and the pool parties during the day, but you only get like a smattering of people that come to the seminar. So I really like the way everybody is, participates and comes. Everybody's basically required to attend the presentations and the seminars. So it's not just the party like last night, which is good. Parties are important, but I just like the way that this format is really good, that everybody's here for the presentations. So yeah, that's a very good thing. So I'd like to see that happen in the States, at the conventions in the States. So this is a great thing that you're doing. Yeah.
ونشمي معناتها بثارسان أثينو حزيلي غلبة Assyrian Conventions ديلو نويث بأمريكا ومولي روحك دوثينو لبكي لقنو طرنو ميدي رابو قي هذه convention داترتيو هشنا عيميني ونطرينا ديروي بانشنا بعصر واتشنا دوثن ولقنو طرنو استديو لفنو غلبة ميدوني حاثي تحزينا غلبة ترقومي مولي تحزينو كمحوروني عتيقي وبينو وصبريدي لم تكسوني بس لاقينو حولوني حاثي مقد كتيو من يونيدن زعورو يلفنو نوش خت واوجين او نمرود يلفنو الاوجين بثحاننكي وذعوينو لي بس شلوح زي لي عادي ما ترجمه يلفنو مي اوسيو جابرييل اوسي حتى مش ولد ملفونو اندراوس يلفنو ميدوني يعني مقع حات حاضر الميدوني هوخا كمستافد ميدي رابو مني و كلوزم دوبينا الحدود شدويو بونو قصناقة بشاتو كنا قد لتمينا الكنوشي مسكنيوشيوثا هوخا إشي رادونو تكتلي تسمينا على نقل حالة دكتور سنترال بألمانيا ودكتور كتيو قالوتو البثتوصو ودكتور كتلان عامو أوثورويو اشكيحو.
Thank you very much, Rafael. Thank you. We have a guest from Iran here, Myukra Rabi Giwarkis. Do you have an advice for us?
Everything he said is good enough. I can't add anything. Okay.
Kommer omöjligt klus.
As long as we keep going as it is, I think this year it seems to be better than last year. I wasn't here, and as every year you can keep building on it and going on. It's good. Slow and steady wins the day.
Thank you very much. Taudi.
Very nice organization. Thank you for it. Very interesting speakers yesterday and today. I hope you will also organize some conventions just for example, professors or artists or politicians. We didn't talk about it, but I think one of the group we need to lobbying for our homeland, our problems there, our politicians. So I think there are here also some other politicians from Holland, from Germany, Sweden, or France. But we need to see each other more and together have a plan. How can we doing lobbying for our people? I'm here in Belgium, also one of the politicians, young politicians of our nation, and I hope that with you, Confederation, work with other politicians from other countries of Europe and to do something for our people. I hope you will organize as soon as possible something for us.
Thank you very much for your advice. So we will take it, but we can make it general, like specific meetings for specific groups among our nations. So we take that with us. Thank you very much for attending these 2 days.
As you have been realized, and I'm going to make a short introduction. We have been talking the whole time into English, or sometimes in Surait, and just a bit of Surat. A favor. If we are a nation, if we are people, we have the 2 dialects. Suggestion. Next year, wherever it is, it's a very easy way to make simultaneous translation from Surait to Surat, from Surat to Surait. Let's I say it because I know we have very well young people prepared in both dialects. They can do it. I mean, to make a translation, suppose investment and so, but even that could be solved. So please do it. It's a favor.
Thank you very much. We take that with us. I will look to everybody again. If there is no one who wants to advise us or give us something with us, I will try to finish this convention. The last one, maybe, Monsieur Gaurier.
أثي رمي شافيري غلبة نوشو بس هاني كتني يتيبي بي سيحتو حمشو اشتو شخصتني وهاني كتة عائلة كتة وكتة شغلونتي وتقيمي تحتو طعنان وكولد ما حتلنا علي كت كل تحتي وقدري قيمي موقع كنوف الغلبة على الكلينا بنفكر داثينا أن دمعونينا إنه فكر دي اللي عطيها هانو دعاروا لها دومان تكتني كل هركي ومدد كلوزان بطلب مني.
Saudi Sagi, Monsieur Gabriel Muswet. كبعانو قريونو اللي سحثو دو Confederation de Thiolar كده. أفرام، ناهير، كارا، داني، نينوس، يوهان. ميذا وفي حونة سملان أتري يوماني وأيومو تتفايد كله إشاتو تفايد لوبس طبعا لوبس غالبا كوريث كير إشمي بس لا تفاينو أونو بس ديوينو بحا إلو قدرونو سيموينو وفي حونة سملان هركي إلو بيهاي مونوثو بحايلو وبنولج بويلفونو داليمي وعلي مثاني موخا كبعنو قامويو اونو كيفونو ريشي اول قاميتو الي خو لهي مونو ثاث خو لتعبث خو تودي ساقي كمونو الكولاي خو وان شاء الله يعني اتريش نتقامو ثاينا استماركوينا ميدون حاثي وطوي وكبعنو نقا حيرونو ايبايخو وغالبي كوريكيونو ايموتشونيل بحاريتو تودي غلبي تودي لما لو ليذن لو بروفيسور بيقرأ جوزيف يعقوب بيقرأتو كلير كارا وغلبي إشمونت أديو ما آثن أتريو ماني ذولا أرن يثي كيتو وليثو ربثو علينا غلبي ربثويو أديو ما كيتو قروبو بو أثريذن غلبي هاوي قروبي إلو هانو قروبو كبلي هوي غلبة ماكيونو دم ضيعينا أقلمود أوثر بحثون أقلام لشان قدرينا دوبينا فونويو ألوميرت كوي كل زملن إيهي مونوثاثخو وأزوزاثخو وأزبناثخو أطلف ميدوناني كطلبان من كل حمينيخو موبيل عم روحي وكل دكتو كمونو كل يوم مدحي شابو فالقيت شحفة مزبناثخو دقوبيتو لي لوف الحونة أمثونويو إستحثاثي كتويو موتور قويو لو عاميذن بأوروبا وزبناثخو يهمونو ثاثخو أزوزاثخو تودي غلبت عثيتو وطلبينا خو درب فتيحو لأثرا وثاثخو هول شاتحريتو كبعينا كنا قماتيمينا فايش أكل شيئا دو كونفدريشن دمينا عم حدوذي شاتحريتو كبعينا بي إرشكيتو أوثر بننوي سيمينا أو كونفنشن هول شاتحريتو هول بساقي
the president of our confederation. Applause to her. Please, stand up. تودي دا سوريا تيفي يفرحونا دا سوريا تيفي لم يقرب
تودي الخستي بشم دا سوريا تيفي كوب عنده منو وميدد ملي البروفيسور أفرم لاتيو بس لجندو كن حوض ودو كونفدراسيون بعيني زبنو كلو زمن هو قولو تمشمع تمحوينا وقولانو بأسيريا تيفي وبهيدر بوكلو زمن ما ساثو بودجت لو كن حوض ولشو توسيدن كلو زمن ما ساثو كل حا ميدي زعورو عصرو اورو بويرحو حمشو اورو بويرحو لتني ميدي وحامن خد قودر كتياركي لتياركي سويم هادمو ثوك توينا ممنون لشان وقولو دو زوعو وثورويو دمحوي ودنقلينا للأرض لو فيشنا بخير دحر تودي
Michal Sreidis de Todi Galabe وحادوبا كيتو فانيرا تيشورتا كوثو stop the Assyrian genocide كتنا دشنو من ألمانيا كمان لو وكان يتعمل كبي ما دعرنا له بيتو حادوبا كي بمويد تودي غلبة داثيتو تيحم ثو ثريتو